It was a night like no other in Los Angeles, a city that was used to its fair share of excitement and drama. But on the night of February 24 to 25, 1942, the drama was real, and the excitement quickly turned into panic. The sky was dark, but the city was ablaze with searchlights, anti-aircraft guns, and sirens wailing in unison. Residents peeked out of their windows or huddled in fear, convinced that the Japanese were launching an all-out assault on American soil. What could have triggered such chaos in the heart of California? Was Los Angeles really under attack? Or was this a case of nerves getting the best of an entire city? To understand the chaos that unfolded in Los Angeles that fateful night, we need to travel back to a time when the world was in the grip of war. It was 1942, and just a few months earlier, the United States had been dragged into World War II following the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor. Tensions were running high across the country, with the threat of more attacks looming large in the minds of the American public. Los Angeles, a sprawling metropolis on the West Coast, was on high alert. The city, which had quickly become a vital hub for the war effort, was now a potential target. The fear was palpable, and all that was needed was a spark to ignite a full-blown panic. On the night of February 24, 1942, that spark arrived. As night fell over Los Angeles, rumors began to circulate that the Japanese had sent planes to attack the city. The West Coast was bracing itself for the worst, and the idea of an imminent attack didn't seem far-fetched. After all, if Pearl Harbor could be hit, why not Los Angeles? The public was already jittery, and when reports started to trickle in of unidentified aircraft approaching the coast, it didn't take long for chaos to erupt. The military had already issued several warnings that an attack on the West Coast was possible, and these warnings were not taken lightly. Coastal cities, including Los Angeles, had been conducting blackout drills and installing air raid sirens to prepare for the worst. The media, ever the amplifier of public sentiment, played a crucial role in heightening the tension. Newspaper headlines screamed about the possibility of enemy planes striking at any moment, and radio broadcasts were filled with urgent updates and speculation. On the night in question, the tension reached a boiling point. Around 2 a.m. on February 25, military radar picked up what appeared to be an unidentified aircraft about 120 miles west of Los Angeles. The object was moving slowly, and as it approached the coast, the military swung into action. A blackout was ordered across the city, and searchlights began to sweep the skies. Anti-aircraft batteries were manned, and soon the city was braced for what many believed was an imminent attack. The media quickly got wind of the situation, and reports began to circulate that Japanese planes had been spotted over Los Angeles. In the absence of any official confirmation, these reports took on a life of their own, fueling the growing panic. Radio stations began broadcasting updates, and the people of Los Angeles, already on edge, began to fear the worst. Families huddled together in their homes, listening to the blaring sirens and the distant rumble of anti-aircraft guns. Some even made their way to designated air raid shelters, convinced that an attack was just moments away. The height of the chaos came just after 3 a.m. as the unidentified object moved closer to the city. Anti-aircraft batteries along the coast opened fire, sending a barrage of shells into the night sky. The sound was deafening, and the sky lit up with explosions as searchlights crisscrossed the darkness, desperately trying to catch sight of the intruders. In all, over 1,400 shells were fired that night, a testament to the level of fear and confusion gripping the city. Eyewitness accounts from that night paint a vivid picture of the chaos. Some residents reported seeing the glowing outlines of enemy planes in the sky, while others claimed to have seen parachutes descending into the city. One woman, recounting her experience, said she was certain she saw a squadron of Japanese bombers flying low over her neighborhood, their engines roaring like thunder. Another man, who had been out for a late-night walk, described the eerie sight of searchlights converging on a single point in the sky, followed by the deafening boom of anti-aircraft fire. Emergency responders were stretched to their limits as the city descended into panic. Police and firefighters were dispatched to various locations, responding to reports of downed planes and fires, none of which actually existed. The military, meanwhile, was struggling to make sense of the situation. Reports of enemy planes were coming in from all over the city, but no one could confirm exactly what was happening. The only certainty was that something was in the sky, and it was enough to trigger one of the most intense air defense responses in American history. As the night wore on, the barrage continued, with shells exploding in the sky and debris raining down on the city. The sound of gunfire and explosions filled the air, and for those on the ground, it was as if the war had come to Los Angeles. Yet despite all the noise and chaos, not a single enemy plane was brought down. There were no bombings, no strafing runs, no destruction. Just a city gripped by fear, firing blindly into the night. As dawn broke over Los Angeles on February 25, the gunfire finally ceased, and the city began to assess the situation. The military, which had been at the forefront of the action, was the first to realize that something was amiss. Despite the intense anti-aircraft fire and the numerous reports of enemy planes, there was no evidence to suggest that an actual attack had taken place. No wreckage was found, and no enemy pilots were captured. In fact, there was nothing to indicate that any planes had flown over Los Angeles at all. The initial findings suggested that the entire incident might have been a false alarm, triggered by a combination of radar glitches, atmospheric conditions, and perhaps even the heightened state of anxiety in the city. The military quickly moved to calm the public, reassuring them that there had been no attack and that the city was safe. But the damage had already been done. The events of that night had left a lasting impression on the people of Los Angeles. In the days that followed, various theories were put forward to explain what had happened. Some suggested that the raider had picked up a weather balloon or some other harmless object, which had been mistaken for enemy aircraft. Others speculated that it was a case of mass hysteria, with the fear of a Japanese attack causing people to see things that weren't really there. As time passed, the incident faded from the headlines, but the lessons learned that night would have a lasting impact on the city and its emergency protocols. The Battle of Los Angeles, as it came to be known, highlighted the importance of clear communication and the dangers of letting fear dictate decisions. In the wake of the incident, military and civilian authorities worked to improve coordination and ensure that future alerts would be handled with greater caution and clarity. For the people of Los Angeles, the events of February 24 to 25, 1942 became a strange and unsettling chapter in the city's history. It was a night when the fear of war reached its peak, and for a few terrifying hours, it seemed as though the battle had come to their doorstep. Yet, in the end, it was not an enemy that threatened the city, but rather the power of fear itself. Fear that had turned the night sky into a battlefield and had nearly led to disaster. The story of the Battle of Los Angeles is a powerful reminder of how easily fear can take hold and lead to chaos. What do you think? Was it a case of mass hysteria? Or was there something more to the events of that night? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this story, be sure to check out our other videos for more intriguing tales from history.